and welcome everybody. My name is Diana Osberg and I'm a dietetic intern here at the Gerald L. Ignace Indian Health Center. And thank you for joining us for our virtual table presentation today on intuitive and mindful eating. So first we are going to dive into what intuitive eating is. So intuitive eating is a philosophy that practices listening to your body before and after eating and paying attention to what it's telling you in terms of hunger and fullness. It was created by Ellen Tribble and Elise Resch, and it can take a lot of practice to adapt intuitive eating into your lifestyle. So what's different about intuitive eating is that it strives to reject the dieting mentality of labeling foods as good, bad, or off limits, and it helps embrace food for what it is and what it does for your body. The practice helps create a more positive experience with food and eating environment. So intuitive eating is based off of following your instincts, and intuition really means instinctive feeling. When we're born, our body knows how to identify when we're hungry and when we are full. And as you can see, as babies, we eat when we are hungry and we stop eating when we are full. As we grow up, our instincts may change and may be influenced by many different factors in our lives. And the factors that influence our eating patterns are things like media, like advertisements and TV, as well as our culture, our social setting, how we're brought up, where we live, and even our access to food, as well as money. So the cost of certain foods can drive you to purchase them or not. As well as time. If you even have time to prepare foods, or if you're constantly on the go, really depicts what types of foods that we're eating. And as well as our emotions. So do you choose to eat when you're stressed or sad, or emotional eating, or even emotions, are tied to celebrations? Are you using food to celebrate? As well as, our physical status really influences our eating patterns as well. If we feel like we're hungry, we're going to eat. If we feel like we're full, we're going to stop. So, of course, there's a lot others, that tie into our eating patterns. And I talk about this, but it doesn't mean that, these factors are good or bad. These are just factors that are seen that influence our eating patterns as we in our lives. So since we know that our eating patterns are influenced by many factors that can be beyond our control, how do we know what is right for us? Well, there is a tool out there called the Hunger Fullness Scale that is frequently used in intuitive eating. And it's a scale that ranges from 1 to 10, and it asks you, to rate your hunger or your fullness before and after eating foods. So it really helps you reflect on how you're feeling in the moment, and get you more in tune with your body and see how it responds to food. So one of the goals of intuitive eating is to try and stay between numbers 4 and 6, where 4 is you're feeling a little bit hungry, and you're thinking about food. That's when you should try to eat a small meal. And then 6 is where you're feeling satisfied, and you're okay with stopping eating, and you're not feeling actually full at this time. So next we're going to talk about mindful eating. And you really can't have mindful eating without intuitive eating, because mindful eating is a process of paying attention to what you're eating without judgment. It sounds really simple, but it is actually really complex and can take some time to practice. So mindful eating is based off of the concept of mindfulness, which is being in the present moment and using all of your senses that you can, such as seeing, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. And mindful eating is the exact opposite of mindless eating, which a lot of us, which a lot of people seem to do. Which mindless eating is eating when we're not aware of the food that we're consuming, such as eating while you're being distracted by TV, the computer, or driving, or using your phone while you're eating. Distracted eating can lead to eating more than you intend to eat. And this ultimately can lead to weight gain or, increasing your body size. And it also can cost more because we're actually eating more than what will actually satisfy us and what our body actually is telling us that we need. So what's also good to know is that, we're actually not appreciating the food for what it is, what it does for our body, or what it tastes like. And distracted or mindless eating can also be can be dangerous if you have a chronic disease that restricts a certain type of food. So what benefits can we see if we choose to eat mindfully? Well, mindful eating helps us learn how to process our emotions and reduce the stress. And how does it do this? Well, it really helps that practice of mindfulness, of bringing us into the present, paying attention to how our body is feeling, our thoughts, our feelings, our bodily sensations, and without judging them as good or bad. So it really helps create an awareness of internal and physical states to help gain a greater sense of control. And mindful eating is really seen in the Raisin meditation mindfulness exercise, where this has been around for a few years now, where you take a raisin, just a simple raisin, and you try to eat it as slowly as you can to really focus on, the flavors and the textures that your body is experiencing. And it really helps put you into the present moment and just focus on that one thing at that one time. So it helps, alleviate your stress and just, like I said, focus on your present moment. So if you're interested in trying this mindfulness exercise, I recommend that you Google it. There you can just follow the steps, and it is a fun activity, and it might help you look at a raisin in a different way than you ever thought of. More benefits of eating mindfully. Well, over time, we might develop some negative thoughts about food that can lead to like an anxious attitude and create a negative mindset about food. This can lead to, under eating or restricting foods, and ultimately that may lead to overeating them later. So applying like a neutral respect and healthier mindset about food can practice, non-judgmental language for all foods and help us eat foods without feeling guilty. And this ultimately creates, an environment where you can enjoy eating. So eating food provides a lot for us. It satisfies hunger, it gives you energy, and it also provides comfort. So out of everything else in our lives, we owe it to ourselves to approach eating as a stress-free activity that we can appreciate and enjoy. Now, it can be really hard to learn how to eat mindfully. There's a lot of difficult things that play into it that we're used to. So slowing down to eat your foods can be difficult for people. We are in a society that seems to constantly be on the run. Some people don't even have time to sit for 30 minutes to eat because of their busy day. So setting time for yourself to focus on one thing can really allow some time for like a little bit of self-care, just so that you can sit down and relax and relieve some stress of just sitting in the moment and focusing on eating. And removing distractions can be challenging to some people. Some people may, be used to eating while watching TV, while looking at your phone, scrolling on social media, and even working, can pull your focus on how much you're eating. And that can be difficult for people to kind of get away from. And as well as even learning how to describe food, describe your taste, describe your senses about food can be difficult to some people. So I have, some recommendations of, trying to tune back to your elementary school self and use adjectives. So this slide goes into some adjectives that can be used to describe food, including like its taste, like how do you perceive, the taste of something? How do you perceive the texture of something? How would you describe it to somebody? Would you say that it was sweet? Would you say that it was sour? In terms of texture, would you say that it's chewy? Is it smooth? Is it creamy? And then expressing your basic opinion about food. What's great about these descriptions is that, there's no right or wrong. Everybody else has different taste buds. Everybody else has different experiences. So their opinions about something, about a certain food, may be completely different than the opinion of somebody else. So expressing your opinion and just, expressing your opinion and being okay with it is the concept of mindful eating, that may help you create that non-judgmental and just embrace the non-judgmental aspect of it. And respecting other people's opinion as well is really good about this. So now that we know, the basic aspects of it, how do we put mindful eating into practice? Well, step one is to eat when you're hungry. And that might sound easy, but sometimes we eat when our mind is telling us to versus our body. So instead of just reaching for the food right away, maybe take a moment to ask yourself, when was the last time I've had water? Do I feel like eating, or is there something else that's going to satisfy this feeling? Are you craving another sensory stimulation, something to do with your hands or mouth, where you can go and take a walk, chew gum, or play with something with your hands instead of eating? And then after, considering all these options, being like, no, I don't want to do that, refer to the hunger scale and see if you are truly hungry and if your stomach is starting to growl and if you're constantly thinking about food. Step two is to start with smaller portions. Having a large plate of food may entice you to eat all of the food on your plate, which may be more than your body needs at the moment. And starting with smaller portions can really also help with overeating. Step three is to take a moment to appreciate the food on your plate. Look at your food and ask yourself, why did I choose this food? Is this food visually appealing? What are the smells of the food? Can you perceive what the food tastes like or the texture that it might be before you even bite into it? And ultimately also, please be thankful for being able to have this food on your plate. I'm sure there's a lot of work that goes into the food that you select. So just taking the moment to be thankful for the food that you have is important for everybody. Step four is to take small bites. So when eating, taking small bites of food and contemplating on the words that you would describe the taste, the texture, and the flavor of food. Step five is chew your food thoroughly. And as you're chewing, new flavors may arise when you take the time to chew the food before taking another bite. So really chew the food thoroughly and focus on the taste and the texture that you're having in your mouth. Step six is to swallow all of the food before taking another bite. Swallowing the food is a bit more of a process than you may think. When you're swallowing, try to feel the food, go down your throat, into your esophagus, and then into your stomach. And try to really focus on that feeling of moving the food down your throat into your stomach and how you would describe that to somebody. Step seven is eating slowly. So it can take some time for your body to recognize that it's been full or had enough. So it can take some time to move from level 4 of the hunger scale to number 6. So if you can, try and take 30 minutes to eat and stop when you are aware of the food in your stomach and that you're starting to feel satisfied. And that really brings you to step 9, which is, stop eating, recognize when you've had enough and when you are satisfied, and save the rest of the food for later. So, of course, with everything else, the more you practice and the better you'll become. So, thank you so much for joining me today on this virtual table for intuitive and mindful eating. Of course, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to email us at healthpromotion@gliihc.net, or leave a comment below and we will get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much and have a great day.